Most of us don't understand how the banking system works. We don't really understand how finance and money works. We don't understand where money is created. And that's a real shame. We have a serious lack of financial education in America. We aren't taught by our parents, by our schools, or really outside of the school system how the financial education system works, how to invest, how to save wisely, how to make use of debt in a wise manner versus the dangers of using debt like credit card debt in an unwise manner. But, it's important, I think, for all of us to understand the financial, the economic system that we live in, because we're expected to survive in this environment and thrive in it. We all want to have a successful retirement. We all want to grow our wealth over time. So it's important that we all learn that. And one of the important things in the financial sector is banking. We all use banks. Everybody gets paid, and their paycheck goes either directly deposited or they deposit a check in a bank and they pay bills out of a bank. We're all familiar with banks. But one of the things that's really magical about banks is that banks create money. And that is an incredible phenomenon that most people really don't understand. Where does money come from? And it's not necessarily from the government. We always think that money comes from the government, but in reality, a very small percentage of money actually comes from the government. I think it's only about 10 or 15% based on what I've read. And the rest of the money that's created in the system is actually created from banks. And so I wanted to talk about that today so that you have a better understanding of how banks work. Now, before I get started, I want to say one thing. A lot of people tend to have a negative view of banks and bankers. They think that banks are crooks and thieves and they don't like the way they work. They want to abolish the banks. I don't have that viewpoint at all. I think that banks and bankers are extremely critical to our financial success and to the overall economy in the US and worldwide. Without banks, we wouldn't be able to get loans for things that we needed. For example, if you had no way to get a home mortgage, you would have to wait until you had enough cash saved up to be able to buy the house with cash, 100% right up front. Now, most of us can't do that. Most of us need to finance a car or finance a house or student loans. We don't have the cash up front to be able to do that. So it's a really good thing that banks are out there and willing to lend us money. So how do they lend money and how do they create money? Well, this is a magical phenomenon that's called fractional reserve banking. And what this actually means is it gives the bank the freedom to create or print money basically out of thin air. And here's how this works. So if you go ahead and deposit $100 into your bank account, your checking or your savings account, the bank puts that $100 in the account and they are able to magically create $900 or even $1,000 out of thin air. And they take that $900 or $1,000 that they created and they add that to their balance sheet in their account. So you put in $100 and they created out of thin air $900 or $1,000. That's a pretty nice deal. If we could create money out of thin air, that'd be pretty nice too. But if we try to do that, we usually go to jail. But the banks can do it and they don't go to jail. It's really magical. So when they create that $900 or $1,000 out of thin air, they're able to take that money that they just created and then lend it out to people who are looking to get car loans, student loans, home mortgages, or home refinances. So you put in $100 into the bank creates $1,000. They can then use that to lend it out to people, earn interest on that, and they didn't have to put up any of the collateral for it. They used your money to create fake money to lend out to people, and they're making money off of that. It's really amazing system. When I look at it, I think, well, how do I open a bank? How do I become a banker and do this myself? But it really is an amazing system. And that is the process by which most of our money in the United States is actually created. It is through the banking system and through the process of lending and credit that money grows and money is created, that the money supply in the US actually expands. Now, if you think about it, there's basically an effect where it's a snowball effect, where if you deposit $100 in the bank and the bank creates $1,000 that can lend out to me, and if I take that $1,000 and I put it in the bank, either the same bank or another bank, that bank, wherever I deposit it, can take that $1,000 and turn it into $10,000 and then lend that $10,000 out to somebody. So once you understand that, you start to see the snowball effect that has, and that's how money is actually created. Like I said, the vast majority of money that is created is not created by the federal government anymore. A lot of people think that the Treasury is the one that prints dollar bills, and they come up with the digital equivalent, in the U.S. Treasury bank account balance, but they do that for some of the money supply, but the vast majority of the money supply is created by banks through the credit and lending system. So something I think is extremely fascinating. And like I said, I certainly would love to be a part of that banking system. Right now, I'm just a depositor like many of you, but I thought that was a fascinating topic when I learned about it, and I hope you certainly found that interesting, especially in light of a recent video that I did on a potential credit crisis or banking crisis in the U.S. And I think it's imperative that we all understand how the financial system that we all rely upon so much works. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you found it useful, please share it, please like it. And until next time, take care. We'll see you around. Thank you.